know what to do right now. I don't know what to do with myself. I am freaking out right now. Emily Bronte is a little bit of a genius. I don't know, do I like thrillers? Might actually end up rating this 5 stars. I'm gonna cry. Hi friends, welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a reading vlog and I'm so excited. I have a few books on my summer TBR that I want to get through. Right now I'm currently in the middle of 2 books. I'm over halfway through both of them. I want to finish those in these video and I'm so excited to finally get started on doing reading vlogs. If you didn't already know, I deleted my social media a little while ago, so it kind of like naturally replaces my screen time with reading time, and that has been like the best thing ever because I am in nursing school. I'm so busy. Any little time that I can get to read really counts. I'm excited for today's video. The first book that I'm gonna be getting into for this vlog is Starside. I only have about 90 pages left and I want to try and finish it today. I do have class later today, but I think I do have enough time. I'll update you guys as I'm reading it. The second book that I'm in the middle of right now is Wuthering Heights. I really liked the movie. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I really enjoyed it. And the book is better, of course. The book is always better. Yeah, I've really enjoyed reading this, especially after seeing the movie first. I can kind of like visualize stuff. There's a few characters that are like a little bit different. Not a little bit different, like a lot different than the movie, but I think mainly Catherine is like pretty consistent. I liked in the movie how they did a lot of like bold symbolism and visualization. It really kind of just puts the whole theme of this book into perspective. Like I can really visualize it, how dark it is. And I feel like if I was reading this for like a high school project or something, I probably wouldn't fully grasp like just how dark it is. I've really been enjoying this book. All the characters are literally crazy and it's so entertaining. Different ways that we handle it throughout history. And yeah, I just think this is so interesting. I feel like I'm reading it at like the perfect time in my life because I can like really, you know, grasp it and really understand the writing. The month of May for reading has gone really good so far, and I'm excited to continue and finish these 2 books in this video. And then I have a few others that I want to look at getting into, but we're not there yet. Those are mainly just my summer TBR books, but I have a few that have been on my shelf for a while. I definitely want to try and get through some of those in this video, but we'll see. There's no pressure on that. I am about to start studying for my exams for this 3rd semester of nursing school. Not having social media really helps. I can get through books so much faster now. I can read more each day than I ever was able to before. So I'm gonna start reading and I'll update you guys my thoughts on the way. So we just found out who this pretty big character in this book is. Our main character, Eris, has been talking about this specific character for the entire book. Like she's looking for him, she doesn't know why. But this man that like basically raised her told her she needed to find him. And if you don't know what this book is about, it's called Starside. There's like Stormside and Starside. Starside is where the immortals and the gods are, and Stormside is where the mortals are. That's a long story short, but she is in Starside right now. There's this quest that they're supposed to be doing to go find the gods and find magic, and that's a quest that happens every 50 years in this world. Before she goes on this quest, her father figure, her friend, tells her, listen, you need to find this man, summon him, whatever you gotta do, you need to find him. And she never knows why until she finally finds out a few pages ago. It's pretty big. He's a pretty important character, so that's interesting. But the thing about this book is you kind of do something really exciting and then there's a lull, and then there's something really exciting that happens and then there's a lull, and it kind of goes back and forth, and I think my personal preference is a book that builds consistently. So I don't know, I thought at first in the first few pages I was gonna rate this like 5 stars, like it was gonna be so good, but then I feel like kind of halfway through I started realizing that the plot wasn't there as much, and it was really just like romantic-y, and I like it when the plot is like super consistent throughout. And I'm not saying that there's no plot, there definitely is, but it's just not like consistently building throughout. I don't know, maybe it's just because it's the first book and it's all about like, you know, her journey there, and I know the ending is probably going to be really exciting and a lot of stuff's probably about to happen. But I feel like the journey to get here was a little bit dull. Another thing is, on this little special edition, there's a dragon on the front, okay? Super exciting. I love dragons. But in this particular book, we saw a dragon for like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but we saw a dragon for like 0.5 seconds. Like literally half a second, and then we don't see the dragon again. So I'm like, is the dragon gonna be in the second book? Like, is it coming back? Like, come on, like, this is what I wanted to see. Like, you put a dragon on the cover, I'm like, okay, let's see some dragons. I don't know. So right now I have about like 60 pages of my book left. I've read about 30 so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a coffee, and I'm gonna try and read the rest of this book before I have to go to class tonight. But if I don't finish it now, then I'll just go ahead and finish it tomorrow morning and then start reading Wuthering Heights tomorrow. That's where we're at right now. It's kind of getting a little bit more intense, so I'm really excited to see how this book wraps up and finishes. I'm enjoying it so far. Like, besides the going back and forth constantly, a lull and then exciting, lull, exciting, lull, exciting. Besides that, the exciting parts are pretty exciting. So it's really just a fun read. It's pretty fast paced. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Okay, so I unfortunately just remembered something that I've been thinking about throughout this entire book. The other main character, Raker, he's like this super brooding knight who's like supposed to be the best in all of Stormside, whatever. So he like wears this armor, like, what's it called? Helmet. He wears a helmet over his head, and it covers his face for like basically the entire book. And so like this whole time Eris is like, I have no idea what he looks like. I just finished watching all of Game of Thrones the other week, and so like I feel like Game of Thrones has been at the top of my head, especially reading a fantasy book. I'm seeing like, oh, this is kind of similar to Game of Thrones, this is kind of similar to Game of Thrones, which is kind of unfortunate that it's like kind of influencing my view of this book. And like the only thing that I can think of with the face shield thing is the guy from the like wait, is it the mountain? Yeah, is the mountain from Game of Thrones. How like when he's protecting Cersei, like you can't really see everything behind his armor, and you just see like his eyes, and they just keep getting worse and worse throughout the show. And it's just like so silly that like you can't really like see behind his armor like this whole time. I'm just thinking like, and then all of a sudden he pulls it off and she's like, oh my gosh, he's beautiful. Like, I I don't know, like that's just so funny to me. Maybe I'm just too unserious, but him having his face hidden the entire time is just so unserious to me. Like, and it's not like he's a zombie or anything underneath. Like, literally, what was the point of hiding his face the entire time? Maybe it's just me, but I think that's a little bit silly. Anyways, back to reading. Okay, sometimes I am honestly a little too quick to judge, because one of the things that was bothering me was I was like, okay, we saw all of the side characters at the beginning, and I really liked that. I really liked all the tension and like the danger, and it's kind of like the Hunger Games, like where you have everybody who runs into each other every once in a while. And we didn't see these side characters for like a while, for like a really long time in this book. And so my thing was, I was like, are we ever gonna see these people again, or did they just kind of get like pushed to the side forever? Lo and behold, they're back. It's fine, guys. I got what I wanted. Everything's fine. But yeah, I'm just glad that we get to see a little bit more of them, so that's exciting. I have less than 10 pages left, and the biggest plot twist just happened, and I'm reeling. Like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know what to do with myself. This is crazy. This ending is actually turning out to be so good. Like, forget everything else that I've said before. This is really good. I am freaking out right now. I have less than 10 pages left, so I'm gonna finish this, and then I will talk about all of my thoughts tomorrow before I read Wuthering Heights. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It is the next day. I finished Starside yesterday. I read a total of 97 pages. I surprised myself because I don't usually have that much time to read almost 100 pages in one sitting, but I knocked it out all before class in just the nick of time. It was the perfect timing, chef's kiss. I think I was just really excited to finish this because the journey felt so long from the beginning to end. And just to see it all wrap up at the end is so rewarding every single time, especially in a fantasy book, because usually things get really, really exciting at the end. I think in this book it was like the last 10 pages, maybe the last 20 pages, where like the whole plot changed and you're like, whoa. So that's my first thought on this book, is the ending is so worth it. If you felt kind of similar to how I did, where I was like, it's kind of going back and forth, like something happens and then we see a lull, and something happens, we see another lull. But for me, like, I like seeing kind of like a continuous buildup of events. I ended up rating this book 4 stars, so I actually did really enjoy it. I was thinking at one point, I was like, I might give this 3.75, which usually I don't turn my answer around, but for this book I had to, because I was like, man, this ending was so good. It was so worth it. And you saw my reaction. Like, I was shook. The whole plot twisted and I was shaking in my boots. If you don't know anything about Starside, it's about these two lands, there's Starside and Stormside, had a big war that split them. It says hundreds of years ago, a brutal war split a land in two. So we have Starside, which is the land of the immortals, and they have magic and all these magical creatures. And then there's Stormside, which is the mortals, and the mortals have a quest every 50 years where a few of them get to go and try and claim magic from Starside. So our main character, Eris, there's like this reaping, or I think it's called a coaling, where you fight for your spot on that platform. And so Eris, surprise, surprise, she gets through the gates. She goes on this whole journey through all of Starside to get to the gods. And one thing that I was talking about yesterday was we see this dragon for like 0.5 seconds, and then we don't really get to see it for much of the rest of the book. But whenever I saw this book in the store, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have this. Like, it has a dragon on it. And I don't usually pick up books that have sprayed edges because they're not really my favorite, but I really like this one. Like, this one is done really well. This is really cool. You know, I was expecting to see more dragons in this. Like, I thought that was probably kind of what it was all about, you know? I didn't really get to see much of the dragons or a whole bunch of the magical creatures in general. Like, I love that kind of stuff, but I feel like the book was really more so romantasy after a certain point. Like, the first 100 or so pages is really all about Eris and her quest and where she's going, how she gets there. And it kind of turned into just romantasy, and I think that's kind of where it was hard for me to follow, because I was like, wait, I like the romantasy part of this, but I wish it was like more incorporated with the plot. And then I think it did come back around at the end of the book. I was like, okay, now I'm starting to see the plot again, but it almost felt kind of rushed. Another thing is the magical creatures were all introduced and described one by one pretty well, but we didn't really see much of them. It was like we saw them for 0.5 seconds again, and then we didn't see them again. So all of this stuff I'm hoping we get to see more of in book 2. I also wanted to see more of the side characters, which, like I said, everything did come back around at the end, but it was still like, you know, not what I was really picturing would happen. The banter in this book I thought was really cute. Like, I liked the tension and the relationship with these characters. Sometimes that modern kind of humor can pull me out of a story, and I think that's just a romantasy thing. Like, I don't really know if romantasy is like one of my favorite genres. I just like reading fantasy books every now and then, and I haven't really branched out into this genre very much. I feel like this book ended up being kind of similar to Silver Elite, but I'm not sure. I think I like Silver Elite more than this one. The other thing that I was kind of confused on is, like, the book kind of gives you a little bit of a backstory, but it's not so much to where you really fully understand everything that's going on. I found myself being kind of confused because it felt like throughout the story, I was left wondering, why are they doing this? Who are these people? Why do we have gods and mortals? And at the beginning it tells you there was a brutal war, but it's also like, but why did we have a war? I'm really just hoping that everything comes out in book 2, then I'll be happy. I don't know, sometimes answers are revealed slowly throughout the book, but in this book it was like most of the stuff was just revealed at the very end. So it's like you see all this stuff happen at the beginning, and then there's kind of this lull where they're making their journey to the gods, and at the very end you have some answers revealed, but it's still not everything. I don't know, besides all of that, I did really enjoy this book. It was pretty fast-paced writing, and sometimes that can be nice for a fantasy book because a lot of times you have to really sit and like focus on a fantasy book, but this one was really easy to get through. I did enjoy these characters and their development and how the story ended up going. But yeah, I'm hopeful for book 2. I'm hoping we get to see a little bit more of those elements that I feel like we were missing. Overall, it was really exciting, and I did actually really enjoy it. I wouldn't give it a 4 stars if I didn't like it at all. My next read is going to be Wuthering Heights. I am 155 pages in out of 345. I'm almost halfway there. I thought I was over halfway. LOL, I lied. Yeah, so I'm almost halfway through Wuthering Heights. I'm really enjoying it so far. It is wowing me. Like, I did not realize that this book was gonna be so dark. I really like the vibe. I think it's supposed to rain today, so maybe that'll be my little mood ambiance for the rest of the time while I'm reading this book. And yeah, there is one more book that I want to read in this video, and I will show you guys in a little bit. So since I saw Wuthering Heights the movie, where the movie ends, I expected to be where the book ends. I found out through one of my coworkers. She was like, wait, no, that's like only half the book. So I'm not to where the movie ends yet, but I feel like I'm almost there. Beyond that, I have like no clue what happens. That's kind of fun. That's exciting. Sometimes when you see the movie, you're like, oh, I already know what happens. I don't want to read the book. And then sometimes I see a movie and I'm like, that makes me want to read the book. Which in this case, that movie made me want to read the book really bad. So I'm kind of going into the second half of the book blind. I have no idea what's supposed to happen. We'll update you guys on my thoughts, but so far I'm just enjoying kind of being able to visualize this part of the book because I have seen the movie. We're gonna go ahead and read a little bit more today. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this book today. And then we only have one more book to read in this video. This book starts off being narrated by a Mr. Lockwood. He is a tenant of Thrushcross Grange. He is a tenant of Thrushcross Grange, owned by Heathcliff. He goes to visit Heathcliff. He realizes that the place is haunted. He comes back to his place, which Ellie, the maid, who is a maid for Catherine her whole life, she ends up narrating to him the whole story of Wuthering Heights. I love that it's kind of like these two friends, I guess you could call them, telling like ghost stories. Like this is what this book feels like, is one big ghost story. I almost want to like reread this and watch all the different movies like at Halloween time. Like this is so spooky. I love how cozy it feels whenever Mr. Lockwood and Ellie are just like sitting by the fire. She's like, oh, you're tired, you need your rest. He's like, no, tell me more. I need to know more. Like, this is crazy. This one quote really cracks me up. It says, "Dree and dreary, I reflected as the good woman descended to receive the doctor, and not exactly of the kind which I should have chosen to amuse me. But never mind. I'll extract wholesome medicines from Mrs. Dean's bitter herbs, and firstly let me be aware of the fascination that lurks in Catherine Heathcliff's brilliant eyes. I should be in a curious taking if I surrendered my heart to that young person, and the daughter turned out to be a second edition of the mother." I don't know, that is so funny to me. I'm pretty sure that's Mr. Lockwood saying that. He's like, oh, I am not getting involved with this family. Like, there's no way. I didn't realize that this book had volumes, and that was just the end of volume 1, and now I'm in volume 2. I just realized I've been saying her name wrong this whole time. I think it's Nellie with an N. Nellie, not Ellie. Because I feel like this just very accurately summarizes Catherine and Heathcliff. It says, "How they met I hardly saw, but Catherine made a spring and he caught her, and they were locked in an embrace from which I thought my mistress would never be released alive. In fact, to my eyes she seemed directly insensible. He flung himself into the nearest seat, and on my approaching hurriedly to ascertain if she had fainted, he gnashed at me and foamed like a mad dog, and gathered her to him with a greedy jealousy. I did not feel as if I were in the company of a creature of my own species. It appeared that he would not understand, though I spoke to him, so I stood off and held my tongue in great perplexity." Wow. I have to laugh because it's like, Nellie sees all, she knows all, and she's just watching it all like, this is gonna be really good gossip for later. Like, her character is cracking me up. This must be really entertaining for her. Right here, Nellie just said, "I grew very uncomfortable." Yeah, girl, I would be too. This is crazy. If you haven't watched the movie or read the book and you want to watch the movie first, don't listen to anything that I'm about to say. Okay, so I feel like I can say this because it's not really a secret that Kathy dies. Very beginning of the book, you find out she's already dead. The way that it happens in the movie is different than how it happens in the book. Kind of knew that going in, but it was kind of cool because without reading the book first and then just watching the movie, Like, I had no idea that she died. So that was kind of like a fun little surprise watching the movie. So she dies, right? The chapter it has is chapter 2 of volume 2. Just casually like, oh, she's dead now. And I was like, wait a second, like I didn't think that's where it was gonna happen. That was kind of fun to be a little bit surprised because it's a little bit different than the movie. This chapter is starting off way too casual for what just happened. I don't know, honestly, Nellie as the narrator, I think she's just like, what in the world is happening? What is my life right now? So she's probably like, oh yeah, and then this happened, and then this happened. Cause like literally everything that's going on around her is insane. And so she's just like, this is totally normal. Oh, okay, cool. Didn't realize that was gonna be in this chapter, but thanks, Nellie. Thanks. Since we last spoke. That was at some point last week. I didn't really have that much time to read over the weekend. I did read a little bit, like probably 15 pages, and I read a little bit yesterday too. So I only have about 50 pages left. My goal today is to finish this book. Still really enjoying it. I'm not really sure how it's going to wrap up and finish off. The like second half of the book, we are really just like going through their children's lives. I'm not gonna say whose kid is who, but they are really just trying to solve this generational trauma. It's really interesting to see how it all passed down to these kids, how they're navigating it. If you thought that Heathcliff was insane in any movie, he is a million times worse in the book. And I never read this in high school. It was never one of my required readings. I know a lot of people probably read it either in English class or like for a summer reading project, but I never had to read it. Reading it as an adult is so interesting. These characters are so intense and the setting is really intense. I love the era and the dark theme, and I really think that Emily Bronte is a little bit of a genius, and I think it's crazy that she died a year after she wrote this book, because imagine what else she could have written. I have never read anything like this. It's just really spooky. I'm not sure how they are going to solve this generational trauma issue at the end of this book. I'm also not really sure there's even any sort of happy ending in here, so we'll see. I mean, in the movie, it's definitely not a happy ending. The movie ends halfway through the book. And it's so crazy because watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is like the entire story. But no, there's so much more and it gets worse. I don't know, yeah, so I'm really enjoying this. I can't wait to finish it today. After I finish this, I'm moving on immediately to Wild Dark Shore. So that's my goal today, is to start this and then hopefully finish this within a week. It's only 298 pages. It's pretty short and digestible. It's also like written with short pages like this, and some points like they end really short, so I think it might be a lot easier to get through this very quickly. I wish I could get this on my Kindle, but it's almost like half the price of the book. Usually I only get books on my Kindle if they're like $3, $6, under $10 really. I got Wuthering Heights on Kindle because it was literally $1, which makes me excited to read even more classics because I have Jane Eyre sitting on my shelf, I have Emma, I have Little Women. They're all on Kindle for like $1. So I mean, hey, why not? Obviously I'm in a spooky mood right now, so I'm really excited to read this, especially now that it's summertime and June is here and I live near the beach. I honestly feel like I'm kind of going into this blind because I haven't read the summary of this in a while. Since I'm trying to get through my physical TBR, this has been sitting on my shelf for several months now. I just haven't really picked it up to read the summary. again, and I feel like it's fun like that, going into books blind, because then you really have like a fresh slate to go off of. I'm really excited to share my thoughts on that book as well as we go. For now, I'm going to make a matcha. It is lunchtime, so I'm gonna eat some chicken nuggets, and we're gonna get this one finished. Okay, I just finished, so here are my thoughts. I think that I'm going to give this either a 4-star or 3.75 stars, just because I did really enjoy it, but it is a classic, so like at some points I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand what I'm reading right now, which for the most part, compared to other classics that I have read, this was pretty easy, pretty bingeable. This one character, Joseph, I think he's like a servant or like a groundskeeper or something. All of his words are so choppy, and it's meant to be kind of illiterate, but it's still like, I have no idea what he's saying. I'm gonna have to like go to the internet and interpret this every time. So that was just like a little bit frustrating, but other than that, like, I did really enjoy the story. And one thing that is totally different for me from the movie to the book is Nellie and her character. In the movie, I hated Nellie. I think everybody hates Nellie. I think that was on purpose. And that was kind of like the way that the director decided to twist up the story. But I love Nellie in this book. She's pretty much our narrator throughout the entire thing. It starts off being narrated by Mr. Lockwood, who is a tenant of Heathcliff's at Thrushcross Grange. He starts talking to Nellie about Wuthering Heights and everything that's going on there. She decides to tell him the whole story. It starts off with Mr. Lockwood, and then we hear from Nellie, and it's pretty much the entire book until the end. Then we see a little bit more from Mr. Lockwood, and then Nellie narrates again at the end. I think Nellie was such a good narrator and a really good character. I loved watching everything through her eyes. She really saw everything as a maid, and she practically raised these children. I really liked getting to see a lot more of the dynamic between Nellie and Heathcliff. They go back and forth in correspondence with each other. All of these things happen, and she's kind of trying to keep everything and everyone sane, as opposed to Heathcliff, who likes to literally wreak havoc. I just really, really enjoyed Nellie's character in the book. One thing that I'm actually like really excited to do now is watch the other movies. I know there's one, I think from 2011, and one from the like 1930s, I think, a black and white movie. So I really want to like watch those movies now and kind of compare all 3 movies that I've seen to the book and like their different interpretations of it and everything. And I think it's interesting going on the internet and seeing everybody's critiques of the book and of the different movies, because they all do it a little bit differently. But it's almost as like I've heard that like none of them have gotten it right either from the book. Definitely the most recent one that came out, I did really like that one because it was kind of my first introduction to Wuthering Heights, and it really intrigued me to actually read the book because I didn't really know anything about it. But it is so far off from the book, and it is like its very own interpretation. It's super interesting the way that she decided to pull it all together, and I think that she totally took every single one of these characters and combined them into individual characters. Like, I think Catherine's dad, the movie, is a big example of that. He was the result of multiple characters from this book. I really enjoyed like going further into the story and having known nothing about what was going to happen in the second half of the book. I think it would be super interesting to do like a series on here where I read just straight up classics for a reading vlog, because I do have a few still on my shelf that I haven't read yet that I've just been sitting there collecting dust, looking pretty. I do want to read them eventually. It's just so hard sometimes because with a classic, I said in this book there were some parts where I was like, I really don't understand what I'm reading right now, and it's kind of tough like having to constantly really like get through and process what you're reading with a classic. I still think it would be super fun because I think it's important to read classics, and I do really like getting to learn about different periods in time, like different societal norms and struggles with class and race and everything like that. I don't know, I really enjoyed this book. I'm excited to go watch the movies and do more research on the Bronte sisters. I really like the Jane Austen side of things, where she's writing about high society and different love stories and class struggles in a different way than maybe the Bronte sisters are, in a very dark way. I like having that kind of contrast. Like usually whenever I read a really dark book, I have to read a really light one afterwards. Yeah, I just think that's so fun. Now I'm gonna start Wild Dark Shore. I will update you guys on my thoughts along the way, of course. And I'm really excited to get into this one because it's been sitting on my shelf for a little while. And one thing that I did want to talk about is how not having social media has helped me to actually look at the books on my shelf and be interested in them, because when I'm constantly scrolling and I'm seeing all these new recommendations, and especially on Instagram, I feel like Instagram, the book community, can be a little oversaturated and a little overwhelming. So with that super fast-paced environment, people are always recommending brand new books, and I'm like, oh, I have to read oh, I want to read oh, I need to read that. But no, like, I have a bunch of books on my shelf, and just looking at those, like not hearing about any other books, I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I want to read this one next. I want to read this one next because this looks super interesting. And it makes me like excited to go to a bookstore instead of being like, oh, I haven't read like any of the books on my shelf. And it's depressing to me because I can't go through a bookstore and like buy some more books. I'm actually getting to read through my physical books, which means I have more space to go buy books. So I don't know, this is a win-win situation for me. But yeah, I'm gonna get started on reading this and I will let you know how it goes. So I'm literally on page 4 of this book, but already like I'm really intrigued because the first chapter is by someone named Rowan. I think it's the woman that washes up on their shore. They're on an island and this woman washes up on shore. So then the second chapter is this man's daughter, Fen. But this chapter, compared to the first chapter, the daughter is written in third person. And then again, the third chapter is the dad, and it's in first person again. So I'm not really sure what that's about, why the daughter is in third person, but I guess we'll find out. Wait, okay, I read 10 more pages. Now I'm like shocked. I knew this was a thriller, but now the dad is like randomly talking about scrubbing up blood from the floor of this like hut thing that he just went to. I don't really read thrillers often. I forget. You could turn a page and be shocked. This is exciting. I don't know. Do I like thrillers? I don't really read thrillers. What is he doing? Where did this come from? He's talking about how he's got this job where he's protecting, I think, these like seeds for like an end of the world situation. He works for the government and he brought his family to this island. He's talking about how like they want to leave because it's not safe there because the weather is so harsh. He's like, man, like I have kids. They should have hired somebody without kids. And then he goes to this hut thing and now he's scrubbing up blood. What just happened? I'm so confused. Now I'm really intrigued. I'm really excited to get through this book. Hopefully it stays good. Hopefully I enjoy the rest of it. I don't know. Sometimes like it gets really exciting, then it falls flat. I don't know. We'll see. I have an update for you guys. So far, I am really enjoying this book. I am currently on page 82. I have a couple thoughts. First of all, it's kind of spooky. We don't know that much about these characters, why they're here, and what's going on between them right now. Dominic is the father and Rowan is this lady that washed up on shore. They're both kind of questioning each other's intentions. She's wondering why he's still here after everybody has deserted this island. He is wondering why on earth she was even coming to this island in the first place, what her motive was, and they're both keeping secrets from each other. And they both know that they're keeping secrets from each other. I can feel myself getting connected to these characters, but I still feel pretty distrustful of Dominic the father. I feel like the way that we see his character process his emotions, especially regarding his dead wife, is kind of concerning. Especially that one scene in the very beginning where he was scrubbing up blood. We still have no idea what that was. And I'm 82 pages in, like we still have no idea what that was. And this is like a relatively short book. It's 298 pages, so yeah, it's like basically 300 pages, which is like a normal size book, but it's on the shorter side. So I'm wondering when we're gonna start getting answers. I feel like I haven't read a book that has been so well done and well written in a little while, and it's really refreshing. I love it. Like, this is really good. I'm gripped. I'm on the edge of my seat. I cannot wait. I want to binge this book. With the little amount of time that I have in between nursing school and working full time, I want to binge this book like every time I sit down. It's that good. Hopefully I can finish this next week and I will see you guys the next time I have an update. It's time to finish Wild Dark Shore. I'm so excited. I think I might actually end up rating this 5 stars. This is so good so far, and it's turning out to be nothing like what I expected it was going to be. I have a total of exactly 80 pages left, so not that much. I can definitely finish that today. So that's what we're gonna do. I have my coffee with me and I have my eye patches on. My under eyes looked insane this morning. So I love whenever you kind of run into an unexpected 5-star book. I really honestly thought because of other people's reviews it might be like a 3 or 4 star for me. So far it's turning out to be 5 stars. I'm blown away. I'll talk more about it once I finish. This is just really good. A few pages ago, some things were revealed about the main mystery. I'm still not 100% sure if they're true. I think they might be. I think it was all just like kind of a miscommunication thing. I don't know if I can really trust it. It might be too good to be true. Yeah, remember when I said it might be too good to be true? We're getting a little spooky again. That little mystery part of it is coming back and I'm getting really nervous. I'm getting really nervous. I don't know what's about to happen. This book literally just keeps me on my toes. I just don't know. I really don't know what's about to happen. It's making me so nervous because I thought like we were on a good track. I knew it. Okay, now this is just making me freaking sad. I'm gonna cry. It goes from like spooky to like devastating really quickly. I can't take this anymore. I can't take this anymore. Now I see why all of the children were written in third person. The way that it's written, it feels like it's first person. You get to know their emotions really well and the way that they view the world and adults in the world. I'm not gonna cry. So I just finished Wild Dark Shore, so here are my thoughts. I have never read anything like this before. I was on a roller coaster of emotions. 100%, this is a 5-star. Like, there's no doubt about that. I absolutely love this book. It was so well written. One of the things that I absolutely loved about this book was the scenery, the setting. It really was its own character. Something that I thought was really interesting. On this island obviously has a past, and the characters talk about this past and there's stories about the past on this island. It's really interesting to see from an environmental perspective how time and time again people on this island have come and destroyed it in some way, and it's really not nice to humans because of that. And so it's kind of interesting to see how history is repeating itself over and over again, and humans just like haven't learned their lesson yet. There's actually good people on this island now that actually like care about the environment, and it's just really interesting to see how the world has its own kind of a generational trauma, and so do humans. I love like the working relationship that these people have with this island and its environment, and how much they love the environment and the animals and the plants and everything, all of the different species on this island. I just love like the theme of how this ocean is kind of like coming to take over this island. It's gonna swallow it whole. They're trying to keep the island safe while also keeping themselves safe, and like at the end it ultimately comes to a decision if they're gonna choose themselves. But yeah, I think a lot of really important things are talked about in this book. There's so many different topics on climate change and human relationships and emotions and trauma and grief and how you handle that grief. I think all of it is just super important, and the author did a really good job of talking about all of it and putting it into the story. I absolutely love the fact that I thought this was just going to be like a total mystery book, a thriller, psychological thriller, but in the end it ended up kind of being like more like literary fiction. We dived into these different humans' relationships with each other and with the island. I just love that you can kind of incorporate that kind of a suspense and gripping story with something so deep and emotional. Loved these characters so much. I feel actually like attached to them and attached to this island, and I would really love to see this adapted as a movie. It would be a really raw, emotional kind of story to watch. I love how poetic and really beautiful the author wrote this book. That's really all I have to say. I 100% recommend this book to everybody. Nobody talked to me for a couple days because I am absolutely distraught from this book. That is all I had for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed watching me and my reactions to reading these different books. I read 3 whole books in this video. I'm actually so surprised that like I found the time to get through all of them in like a month, and that makes me really happy and excited for like what's to come in the future. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.